Welcome to the Shorten Anime channel. Today we'll dive into the latest episode of The Great Ruler. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. The Great Ruler Season 1, Episode 14. The valley in front of them was quite narrow. At the entrance of the valley, dense tree branches extended from both sides. Even stones were piled up, as if it was trying to conceal this valley. The thunderstorm team must have wasted a lot of effort in order to discover this location. There is quite the amount of conflagration apes inside. Mu-Chen stood at a location slightly away from the entrance. He gently sniffed a bit and smelled a thick, foul smell. It was evident that there could only be more conflagration apes than what Lei Cheng had said, but not any less. Let's begin our preparations, Lei Cheng gestured with his hand. Lin Zhong and a few other companions swiftly found some firewood from the surroundings and ignited them as they piled it outside of the valley. All of you should cover your nose and mouth. You should try to hold your breath. Lei Cheng pulled out a couple of gray pills from his arms and a rich fragrance emitted out. It made others feel slightly drowsy when they smelled a bit of it. Beside him, Lin Zhong and the others pulled out torn rags and made them wet in the stream. Then they distributed them to everyone. Seeing that everybody was ready, Lei Cheng threw the pills into the fire. A rich fragrance instantly spread out. Everybody should utilize our spiritual energy and push this smoke into the valley. Lei Cheng let out a soft cry and was first to take action. His cuffs moved and a powerful spiritual energy burst out. It brought forth a fierce wind and swept the smoke into the valley. Mu-Chen and the others also copied him. Fierce winds were created by the spiritual energy, and the smoke quickly enshrouded the valley. Sounds of excitement from the apes gradually began to fade. Lei Cheng stared at the valley. After a short moment, he tilted his head to the side as he listened to the movements within the valley. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. He gestured with his hand and said, "Let's go. Be careful, everyone. Let's go." When they heard these words, everybody nodded their heads in excitement. Then they directly went through the entrance and charged into the valley. When Mu-Chen and the others charged into the valley was already somewhat foggy. When they looked over, they could see many giant red apes lying down on the ground. However, these conflagration apes were almost all in a deep sleep. It was evident that Lei Cheng's hypnotic drug was extremely effective. The jaded essence tree is in the depths of the valley. We should hurry. This drowsiness will not last long. Lei Cheng urged them as his speed accelerated again. He jumped over the conflagration apes and went straight into the depths of the valley. Mu-Chen also brought the others and followed. However, when they reached the depths of the valley, a low roar sounded out from the top of the cliff. Then a bloody howl came down. An enormous conflagration ape pounced towards Tang Xianer, who was behind Mu-Chen. This sudden attack shocked Tang Xianer. She hurriedly swung her hand around, and the short sword flew out as it was wrapped in spiritual energy. However, this still left a shallow bloodstain on the conflagration ape's body. Although it did not cause much damage to the conflagration ape, the short sword was able to stop it for a moment. At the same time, Mu-Chen's feet touched the ground, and he charged over like a nimble bunny. His hand gripped onto a sharp dagger that fell down from his sleeves. As the dark black spiritual energy wrapped around the dagger, he swiftly slashed across the conflagration ape's eyes. Fresh blood spattered out, and the conflagration ape let out a shrill cry. However, just when the cry came out, the dagger flashed as it stabbed directly into its throat and stopped the cry. The conflagration ape's huge body fell down heavily onto the ground. It crushed the rocks into pieces. At the same time, Mu-Chen's body landed on the side. He wiped the blood off his dagger and asked Tang Xianer, who was shaken, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Tang Xianer shook her head. At the side, Mo Ling and the others were completely stunned. It was evident that they have not recovered from the fact that Mu-Chen actually killed a conflagration ape this smoothly. Of course, it wasn't only them. Even the people from the thunderstorm team were startled. This Mu-Chen had a quick reaction and attacked effectively. Amazing, this conflagration ape is probably at the level of spiritual movement stage late phase. Lei Cheng gave a thumbs up to Mu-Chen and smiled as he said, "Its speed has dropped due to the smoke. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that easy for me to take care of it." Mu-Chen shook his head. Although this conflagration ape was able to endure through the drowsiness from the smoke, it was still affected. The effects of the bewitching drug are limited. A conflagration ape could resist it if it reached the spiritual movement stage late phase. Inside this valley, There are probably no more than 20 conflagration apes with this strength. However, even if they did not fall asleep, they should still have been weakened. It shouldn't be hard to deal with them. Lei Cheng nodded. Then he suddenly lowered his body and stared off into the distance. His expression became serious and said, "Our trouble is that guy over there." Mu Chen's eyes also narrowed as he looked into the distance. At the end of the valley, the smoke has already faded a lot. A giant fiery red figure that was even bigger than a conflagration ape was over there. The giant figure's body was like a fire. Its body glowed as if it was covered by a layer of red armor. Although it was half sitting on the ground, an ominous aura spread out from there. This violent spiritual energy fluctuation far surpasses an ordinary conflagration ape. This was obvious the boss of the valley, the conflagration ape king. Mu Chen felt the oppression of spiritual energy coming from there. His eyes became a bit more serious. At the side, Mo Ling and the others had a hint of fear in their eyes. That is a middle-rank spiritual beast. Mu Chen stared at the conflagration ape king for a moment. Then he turned and stared at the rear of that giant ape. Near the mountain walls, there was a crack that was approximately 20 feet. A tiny tree approximately 10 feet wide extended out from the crack. The body of this tiny tree seemed like it was made from jade. On this tree, an emerald color was revealed among the green leaves. It was a round fruit. Even from this distance, you would still be able to smell the fragrance that it emits. It was extremely refreshing. It really is the jaded essence tree. Mu Chen stared at the little tree. A hint of joy flashed through his eyes. From the looks of it, the jaded essence tree was obviously mature. It seems that there would be no less than 30 jaded essence fruits. If this cooperation succeeds, it would be quite moving. Little brother, I will lead 5 team members to deal with the conflagration ape king. The other 5 members would deal with the awakened conflagration apes nearby with your companions. When that happens, you should wait for an opportunity to use the spirit destruction bead and try to kill the conflagration ape king in one attack. Lei Cheng observed for a moment and said in a low voice. Mu Chen nodded. He pondered for a moment and said, "If something unexpected occurs, I suggest that we should immediately retreat. If you are still greedy for the jaded essence fruit, then I will bring my companions and leave. As for the ruined spirit destruction bead, I'll just consider it my loss. After all, our lives are more important than the jaded essence fruit." When Lei Cheng heard these words, he let out a bitter laugh. Then he nodded. If it really became like that, then it could only be considered as bad luck. "Let's prepare." Lei Cheng waved his hand. 5 members of the thunderstorm team, including Lin Zhang, had their spiritual energy rising up. Then each of them carefully approached the conflagration ape king in the depths of the valley. Although the valley still contained a faint mist, the conflagration ape king was not something that a common conflagration ape could compare. When Lei Cheng and the others was within 100 feet of it, it was aware of them. The blood-red eyes stared at the crowd and viciousness appeared within its eyes. It was clear that it was outraged by the humans that dared to enter its territory. An angry roar spread out from its ferocious jaws. The conflagration ape king extended its long arm and directly picked up a huge boulder. Then it fiercely threw it over towards Lei Cheng. The sound of the winds breaking showed that it contained a great amount of power. "Kill!" Lei Cheng cried out and his figure dashed out. He gripped the blood-red machete in a reverse grip as his spiritual energy stormed out. A sharp blade flash came out from the blade and instantly shattered the huge boulder. Lei Cheng's speed did not slow down at all, and he charged straight at the conflagration ape king. The rest of the thunderstorm team hurriedly followed. Bang! The instant that the 2 sides made contact with each other, a fierce battle broke out. Spiritual energy gushed out, and flashes of blades headed swiftly towards the conflagration ape king's body. While Lei Cheng and the others were tangled up with the conflagration ape king, Mo Ling and the others followed the other 5 members of the thunderstorm team and blocked the remaining awakened conflagration apes. They did not let them interfere with the battle inside. Mu Chen stood at a place not far away and firmly fixed his eyes at the battle. A fiery red spirit destruction bead was once again held tightly between his fingers, and a violent spiritual energy emitted out from it constantly. This spirit destruction bead possesses the power to gravely injure spiritual rotation and stage powerhouses. However, there is only one. Therefore, he must seize the best opportunity, or this mission would fail if it was wasted. The situation with the conflagration ape king was quite tragic. The 5 members of the thunderstorm team used all their strength and attacked. Although they left many wounds on the conflagration ape king's body, their hands were also covered with blood. It was obvious that they were injured in the backlash. From the looks of it, if Lei Cheng did not directly block the majority of the attacks from the conflagration ape king, they would not be able to approach this big guy's body. Constricting lightning blade. After fighting a while, Lei Cheng also felt that his arms becoming numb and immediately shouted out, "Boom!" As his cry appeared, Lin Zhong and the others suddenly stepped forward. A lightning flash appeared on their long blades. They used all their strength and fire off slashes. These 5 lightning lights flashed and grazed the conflagration ape king as it hacked onto the back of it. The conflagration ape king's metal-like back actually split open through the combined attacks from them. Fresh blood oozed out from its back. The pain coming from its back instantly made the conflagration ape king roar out in fury. Its arm fiercely extended out and a violent spiritual energy engulfed it. Lin Zhong and the others instantly flew backwards while spitting blood. "Asshole, go to hell!" Lei Cheng took a single step forward and let out a vicious howl. Spiritual energy surged out, and a 10 feet long spiritual energy swordlight actually appeared from the blade. He slashed angrily towards the conflagration ape king. The conflagration ape king's speed was extremely fast. It felt the ferocious attack coming from Lei Cheng and crossed his arms together like a shield. It blocked the sharp blade forcibly, and the swordlight cut into its flesh. However, it did not cut its arms apart. "Mu Chen!" At this moment, Lei Cheng cried out. The moment he cried out, Mu Chen, who was accumulating power for the side, had already darted out. He nimbly appeared behind the conflagration ape king, and a dark black spiritual energy wrapped around his fingers. It inserted itself into the wound of the conflagration ape king like a sharp dagger. Fresh blood shot out and Mu Chen instantly retreated. A violent spiritual energy suddenly came out from inside the conflagration ape king's wounds. When the spiritual energy appeared, a gigantic spiritual energy shockwave broke out. The back of the conflagration ape king exploded like a bomb. Its flesh scattered, and the rocks on the ground were shattered due to the impact. The conflagration ape king let out a maddening howl. However, blood continued to flow out of its back. It seems that a hole was blown out. It struggled for a few steps and finally crashed onto the ground. Mu Chen landed on the ground. He was relieved as he stared at the conflagration ape king on the ground. "We did it!" When Lin Zhong and the others witnessed this scene, their eyes were filled with happiness. Even Lei Cheng had a relieved smile on his face. "No, something's wrong." However, the instant that they relaxed, Mu Chen's face suddenly changed colors. This is because a red light emitted out from the conflagration ape king's body. "Be careful!" Lei Cheng also noticed this change and instantly tensed up. The red light surrounded the conflagration ape king's body, and the fresh blood on its back actually stopped flowing out. Afterwards, Lin Zhong and the others were shocked as they noticed the conflagration ape king rising up unsteadily, and the fiery red hairs on its body actually grew a tiny bit. The conflagration ape king roared to the sky. A faint emerald color flashed inside the red lights on its body. This light was the same color as the jaded essence fruit. As the conflagration ape king roared, its aura suddenly became many times stronger. Damn it! It actually made a breakthrough at this moment. When Lei Cheng felt the growing aura from the conflagration ape king, the color on his face changed. Mu Chen's face also became serious. It seems that this beast had eaten many jaded essence fruit. Now, it is really troubling. Buzz. The valley seemed to tremble all of a sudden. The conflagration ape king's enormous body seemed to be becoming increasingly fierce. Its ugly face was filled with violence, and it was obvious that it was extremely ferocious. Mu Chen, Lei Cheng, and the others became serious as they stared astonished at the conflagration ape king. Who would have thought that the conflagration ape king would actually make a breakthrough at this critical moment? From its aura, the conflagration ape king had probably reached the peak of the middle-rank spiritual beast. It is equivalent to a powerhouse at the spiritual rotation stage late phase. Spiritual rotation stage late phase? Mu Chen exchanged gazes with Lei Cheng. They secretly let out a bitter sound. It was extremely rare to meet such an event. Their luck was quite bad. "Captain, what should we do?" Lin Zhong and the others' faces were pale and they quickly asked. Lei Cheng thought for a moment and gritted his teeth as he said, "The conflagration ape king is about to make its breakthrough. However, it is also seriously injured. Let's try once more. If we fail to get rid of it, we will immediately retreat." Lin Zhong and the others heard this and nodded. This was a surprising turn of event. Although they wanted the jaded essence fruit, their lives were more important than that. Mu Chen also made a gesture towards Tang Qian'er and the others who were far away. He signaled them to retreat if the situation turns out poorly. When Mu Chen reminded Tang Qian'er and the others, the conflagration ape king suddenly issued out a furious roar. The violent eyes firmly fixed itself onto Mu Chen's body. It was obvious that it clearly remembered Mu Chen, who had injured it. The conflagration ape king has an extremely vengeful heart. It was not his wisdom that made it view Mu Chen as a definite target to rip apart. Therefore, it attacked first, and its huge ape arm picked up a massive boulder. It treated the boulder as a weapon as it smashed it towards Mu Chen. When Mu Chen noticed this, his toes touched the ground, and he jumped back agilely. He completely avoided the conflagration ape king's violent attack. With the spiritual rotation stage late phase strength, Mu Chen did not dare to let this big guy touch him at all. He was afraid that he would either be dead or gravely injured if he was touched. Seeing that the conflagration ape king pounced towards Mu Chen, Lei Cheng hurried to help him. But what surprised them was that the conflagration ape king completely ignored their attacks and would only smash towards Mu Chen in berserk. It forced Mu Chen to be in a slightly helpless position. Roar! The conflagration ape king became furious when it noticed that Mu Chen avoided it swiftly. It suddenly let out a sharp howl, which resounded within the valley. Then Lei Cheng and the others were horrified when they noticed that there were signs of awakening on the conflagration apes that they hypnotized. This discovery made their faces turn pale. If the hundreds of conflagration apes wake up inside the valley, there were no chances of escaping today. Captain, all the conflagration apes would definitely wake up if the conflagration ape king continues to howl, Lin Zhong and the others said in shock. Mu Chen also noticed this situation. His face became more and more serious. His eyes flashed and he stared at the jaded essence tree inside the crack of the mountain walls. He bit his teeth furiously and said, "Big brother Lei Cheng, I'll lure their conflagration ape king away. You guys should use your speed to take away the jaded essence fruit." What? Lei Cheng was surprised when he heard that. The conflagration ape king is at the level of spiritual rotation stage late phase, while Mu Chen was only at the spiritual movement stage middle phase. It would be extremely dangerous if he were to lure it away by himself. There's no time. The conflagration ape king is targeting me. You won't be able to pull it away. As Mu Chen's voice rang out, a dark black spiritual energy has already wrapped around his legs. His speed increased exponentially, and he darted to the outside of the valley like an arrow. Behind him, the conflagration ape king did not hesitate at all, and it chased after him as it howled. Lei Cheng and the others were stunned as they watched Mu Chen luring away the conflagration ape king. In the end, Lei Cheng gritted his teeth and said, "Hurry, we have no time to lose. Lin Zhong, you should bring a group to stop the conflagration apes that are beginning to awaken. I'll go get the jaded essence fruit." "Yes!" Lin Zhong and the others wiped the blood off their mouth. They quickly nodded and charged towards the conflagration apes that stumbled as they stood up. Lei Cheng stared once again out of the valley. He could only let out a bitter laugh and pray that Mu Chen would be all right. Otherwise, the people from the Northern Spiritual Academy would come find them, and they would suffer. Bang, bang! Inside the forest, the earth trembled. A giant red shadow with a violent atmosphere charged around in berserk. Many trees on the way were completely destroyed by it. Yet it did not care about it all right now. Its blood-red eyes were only focused on the nimble and tiny figure in front of it. This commotion naturally attracted the attention of some spiritual beasts inside the forest. However, the conflagration ape king had already reached the peak of the middle-ranked spiritual beast. It is considered the top existence in the outskirts of the northern spiritual field. Therefore, these spiritual beasts were shocked by its ominous pressure and did not dare to approach. They only stared as the human and beast headed into the depths. This damn beast, it really is tenacious. They fiercely ran for nearly 10 minutes, yet Mu Chen discovered that the conflagration ape king showed no traces of giving up. He could not help but curse at it. Swoosh! As he cursed, a powerful wind suddenly blew behind him. He noticed that the conflagration ape king picked up a large tree and threw it at him fiercely. His body hurriedly jumped forward, and he spun a few times on the ground. Only through this way was he able to avoid the giant tree. When he was rolling across a cluster of weeds, he suddenly pulled out a batch of black grass and shoved it into his arms before bolting off again. While he was running away, Muchen's black eyes continuously flashed. He did not actively request to lure away the conflagration ape king because he wanted to show off his strength. Rather, it is because he had experience in it. In the spiritual road, he would often meet with this kind of situation. I should reach the inner part of the northern spiritual field soon. There should be spiritual beasts that could fight against this conflagration ape king. Since spiritual beasts have a powerful concept of territory, it would not let the conflagration ape king go that easily when they discovered it. When that happens, it would be a chance for me to escape from this guy. An idea flashed through Muchen's mind. He forced all of his spiritual energy out from his body and circulated the Great Pagoda art. Maybe it was because it was a situation of life and death. The Great Pagoda art's circulating speed became faster. Spiritual energy continued to flow endlessly into his four limbs and energized him. No matter how powerful the Great Pagoda art was, he was still only in the spiritual movement stage middle phase. His strength was too different compared to a middle-rank spiritual beast, whose strength had reached spiritual rotation, stage late phase. Therefore, as the time passes on, Muchen gradually felt that he was getting weaker. Roar! Just when Muchen felt that the situation was getting pretty bad, a low howl came from a distant forest. It felt that this howl contained a sense of warning. It finally came! When Muchen heard this howl, joy filled his eyes. He accelerated and charged towards that distant forest. The moment he rushed into the forest, he quickly pulled out the black grass from within his arms and squeezed it using his palms. A repulsive black liquid flew out and covered his entire body. After Muchen finished doing this, a black shadow appeared from in front of him. Its eyes clearly showed that it did not notice the tiny human, and it stared menacingly at the conflagration ape king who was approaching. It's a one-horned panther dragon. Muchen looked at the figure and saw that it was like a black panther with a horn on its head. However, it was wearing an extremely hard carapace. It even had a steel, thorn-like crocodile's tail on its back. A surge of violent spiritual energy emitted from within its body. Muchen glanced at this one-horned panther dragon and frowned. This guy is also a middle-rank spiritual beast, but its strength was only in the spiritual rotation stage initial phase. The difference between it and the conflagration ape king was too great. Roar. The one-horned panther dragon kept a close eye at the approaching conflagration ape king, and it attempted to frighten it to retreat by using a threatening roar. But by this moment, the conflagration ape king's eyes had already turned completely red. It would shred anything to pieces if they dared to stop it from ripping apart Muchen. Because it saw that the one-horned panther dragon daring to stop him, he instantly issued out a fierce roar and his enormous body bounced up. Fiery red spiritual energy was formed under its beast palms, and it fiercely smashed onto the one-horned panther dragon's waist like a meteorite. Boom! The earth was blasted apart and left an enormous hole. The surrounding trees were completely swept apart and destroyed. Then Muchen witnessed in shock as the one-horned panther dragon let out a painful howl. Its entire waist was completely destroyed by the conflagration ape king's brutal blow. Even the carapace was completely shattered. What a vicious beast! Muchen could not help but breathe in cold air when he noticed that the one-horned panther dragon being killed in one attack from the conflagration ape king. This fellow sure can't take a hit, yet he was hoping that it could stall for some time. After the conflagration ape king killed the one-horned panther dragon, its blood-red eyes turned towards Muchen. The latter felt that it was pretty bad and was about to flee. However, an extremely furious roar came out from the depths of the forest. Roar! An amazing spiritual energy fluctuation was wrapped within the roar. Wind appeared where the roar passed by, and Muchen's face instantly changed due to this spiritual energy pressure. A high-rank spiritual beast. The strength of a spirit stage. Boom! A silver shadow stormed out of the depths of the forest in berserk. After a few seconds, it appeared in this open space. Muchen hurriedly lowered his body and looked over. He saw that the silver shadow was actually exactly the same as the one-horned panther dragon. Aside from the fact that its body was larger, the horn on its head was a silver color. This is the high-rank spiritual beast, silver-horned panther dragon? Muchen's heart jumped. He stared at the dead one-horned panther dragon before looking at the silver-horned panther dragon, who was staring with hatred at the conflagration ape king. He finally understood. The conflagration ape king actually killed the silver-horned panther dragon's child. Muchen quietly lay down on the ground. He painted his body with the pungent black liquid in order to cover his smell and held his breath. Then he stared pitifully at the conflagration Ape King. "Buddy, it's over for you." That wraps up the content for today's episode. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel to get notifications for the next episode. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.